Hey, I'm glad that you're back with me again for my third installment of my journey. This one, I'm going to be a little bit more open, a little bit more raw, into where my life really started to lead me. So I left. I started to get into the party scene pretty bad. I got started hanging out with a really tight group of more heavy drug users, and we were going out partying every day. And it got even to a point in my life to where my parents had to kick me out of the house because I was unruly. They were 100% justified in what they did because I did not obey their authority at all or respect their authority, but did what I wanted to do. And so I found myself in a situation to where I was crashing at friends' houses. I slept at the park. I kind of bounced around places while I was into my heavy drug use. And that heavy drug use ended up taking me deep until I started doing crack cocaine. My life led to that point to where I got into the heavy drugs, and I found myself a slave to the drugs, a slave to my sin. I remember one time walking through a neighborhood going, God, if you're there, if you really exist, I just can't see it right now. I just don't know it. My life is in shambles. Um, I, I, I don't even know anymore. And I remember crying that out in just my desperation and in my sin. Um, because I was homeless, didn't have a job, I had to, in my mind, still feed my drug addiction. And so I I went back to my parents' house and I stole some of my dad's checks and I wrote bad checks in order to get money for my drugs. Um, I ended up uh, getting um, getting involved in a drug bust to where making a delivery with another guy so that once again I could get high. And it was we were set up at a hotel room where the cops busted in and threw us all down to the ground. And then I had that I'm dealing with. And at the same time I ended up breaking into a house um, looking for money. That way I could feed my drug addiction. And so here I was now, 19, about to turn 20 years old, and I'm facing a home invasion. I'm facing the checks, which was uttering and publishing, and I was facing a drug bust. So I had a drug charge that I was dealing with. Um, and I was at the end of my rope. And it was a cold night one night, I remember this, and it was rainy, and I didn't have a place to crash. And I remember going back to my parents' house, and I asked my dad, "Hey, can let me crash here for one night, and I'll be gone in the morning. That's all I'm asking. It's just one night, and I'll be gone in the morning." And my dad said he would let me, but he would have to talk to this. I would have to talk to this lady from my church, this lady named Pat Geisel. And I thought, sweet, I'll talk to this lady and I'll crash here and then I'll be gone. Well, God used her. Um, God used her in my life because during that conversation, she convinced me to go to a drug rehab center. Um, and I agreed to do it, and I followed through. The next day, my dad brought me to a drug rehab center downtown, and I went through a 30-day program. And I remember coming to the end of that 30-day program, and and going, man, if I go back out onto the streets right now, I know exactly what I'll do. Is I'm going to go right back into the same nonsense that I was before. And at that time, another guy that was there was talking about, he was about to go to this Christian-based program called Teen Challenge that was out in Muskegon. And so I said, okay, and it was a year-long program. Okay, sign me up because I need more time. And so I decided to go to that program. Now, during this time, I still had my court stuff going on because I'd been charged with first-degree home invasion because somebody was in the house. I was charged with that uttering and publishing, the check making, but that was reduced to an attempted uttering and publishing, which was still a felony. So I had 2 felonies. And then the drug charge, they dropped it down to a high misdemeanor. So I had this high misdemeanor as well. Well, I went into this program called Teen Challenge, and man, the Lord changed my life. I rededicated my life to Christ in that program. I dug into the scriptures in that program. That's where I found my life verse, which is Nahum 1:7. The Lord is good, a refuge in times of trouble. He cares for those who trust in him. And in the book of Nahum, judgment is coming upon Nineveh, because Nineveh had turned back away from God, and now just punishment was coming to them. But the Lord was still calling out in the midst of that, just turn towards me. Just go towards me, and I will take you in. And so I turned back towards Christ, and that became my life verse. Now, that didn't mean that I didn't have to face the consequences of the sin choices that I made. No, I still had to deal with those consequences. I still made them. But the Lord had forgiven me and it just shown me just truly the new life that you can have in Jesus Christ. And I remember in that program, 2 people from that program that said, the Lord is just going to use you. I see that you're a teacher or a preacher. Man, just the things that the Lord gives you in these Bible studies, I can see you just as a preacher. And then one of the Sundays, we would travel to different churches in order to give our testimony and to sing so we could raise money for the program that we were at. And I remember one time that I was down in Indiana for this. And I remember just giving my testimony along with all the other guys. And we were done, and we were packing up into the van to come back home. And I remember this guy from the church comes running out, and he says to me that the Lord has for you that you are going to be a pastor. And I kind of chuckled at the time, and I didn't chuckle because of disbelief. I chuckled because this is the 3rd time that I have heard that within this 3-month period of time. And I had no clue how the Lord was going to do it. But I remember consciously saying, Lord, if you open the doors, I will step through them. I don't know how you're going to do it because I destroyed my life. But Lord, if you open up the doors, I will step through them. I thought I was going to finish out the program. It was 12 months, but I went to court during my 4th month there. And the judge had never heard of the program Teen Challenge, didn't know that they had a rate of the high 70s, low 80s of those who completed the program, never went back to prison, never went back to drugs. Didn't know any of that. And so the judge had sentenced me, and I now faced a sentence of 2 to 20 years in prison. From that moment on, they took me and I started my prison sentence. And I'll tell you the rest of that story in the next video. Thank you.